Thank you everybody for coming to this beautiful event organised by Kayad Arts. This is, like Ayan has said, beauty and wellness. It's sharing information, it's celebrating our beautiful sisters and the journey that they've come through. When I heard about this, I was really excited because as a female, I want to be well and I want to be beautiful and I want to be forever young. So some of the stuff that you're going to hear today is beautiful and it's fantastic. So we're going to start off with a discussion on the panel. Each member will have an opportunity to talk about their journey, and then we'll ask a couple of questions. At the end, you will all have an opportunity to visit the different stalls and make a purchase and support the groups and the organizations. So welcome everybody. So the first person that I am going to introduce on the panel is Hafsa. Hafsa is the co-founder of Botanical Mission. And Hafsa, thank you so much for coming. Hafsa's got a beautiful website, by the way. Please check it out. And I just want to ask you, Hafsa, about your journey. I know you've had, you know, this isn't where you started at the Botanical Mission. So please tell us how you got here and where it started from, this passion.
Sure. So, by the way, can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Sorry, by the way, in case I've got an ear infection, so I can't hear properly. But, so yeah, I didn't start off there exactly. I've worked in the beauty industry for over 10 years, but initially I came more from a corporate background. So I worked in brand marketing for companies like the Estee Lauder companies, Kevin Aucoin, Yves Lom, Molton Brown, a lot of the bigger corporations. So I came from a very strict corporate background, and much of my work was concerned with our international markets. So I worked a lot in the Middle East, North Africa, Asia, the Americas, Asia as well. So a lot of the work entailed me applying this particular brand in a local market and making it relevant to that particular market. So a lot of my marketing experience concerned that. And I think a lot of people think that the beauty industry is a very glamorous industry and there are fun, cool moments. But that being said, at some point when I worked in the industry for over 10 years, I got to a point around the pandemic where I burnt out. So I reached managerial level, being a brand manager, and then abruptly I was let go. And actually it worked perfectly because I got to a point where I didn't actually want to do this career anymore, because at some point you work to brand manager, so I've become a brand manager. What's next? You have to become a senior brand manager and then director and so on. So the ladder didn't necessarily appeal to me. So in the end, lost my job, worked out perfectly. I had some time at home during the pandemic, came to understand what I really liked, still liked the field. And actually, when I was working in marketing, I really enjoyed working with the colleagues who worked on the beauty counters. So we did a lot of things like events and hands-on work experience with people that worked in the airports, in our beauty counters, our salons. So I much preferred that, and I really liked what they did. So in the end, decided I'm going to train in beauty school instead. So went back to school, invested in that, learned some new things, had to start from scratch. And then my friend from school, actually, who also worked in the industry, but not from the corporate background, but more hands-on, said to me, we have a space in Camden, there's a salon space that's going. It's a relative of hers, and do you want to take it over? And I said, perfect. So we decided to, we've already worked together a couple of years. We did a lot of projects, more side projects to do with health and well-being. So we realized that we worked quite nicely together. Then in the end, we combined and created a clinic that works from the inside and the out. So she's a naturopath as well as a herbalist, also an esthetician, and then I came with my experience as well, and then we opened the clinic just over 2 years ago now. So that's where it came from, mainly years and years of just slaving away in the corporate side, but I guess it's applied anyway today to what I'm currently doing.
Thank you. Can I just ask a follow-up question? So did you know when you did your training that you were going to open a clinic at that point?
I did, yeah, because I felt like I didn't want to go to school. I've always been someone who's who looks a lot more ahead. So I've always been quite strategic in the sense where even throughout my career, I said, okay, I'm going to do this knowing that it will lead to this. So in the back of my mind, I thought if I am going to do this, it will be in doing my own business instead of ideally working for someone. Not to look down on that at all, because you never know, but at that point, I just wanted to really work by myself, or work for myself rather. So in the end, that knowledge that I was gaining in school was in the back of my mind to apply to my own business at some point.
Thank you. So Black History Month this year is about reclaiming narratives, and this seems like a perfect way of retelling your experience and your story and your journey. What advice would you give a younger self or a young person that wants to pursue this route?
I would say don't rush, because I think something that I always thought, even when I was going through a lot, like really hard time in my corporate background during my corporate years, was I need to come up with a business. To me, it seemed like it was my freedom out of the corporate life, but nothing would come to me. And I think you just have to let it flow to you. The best, in my opinion, at least in the years I've been doing, and it's not just this business that I've been doing, I do a few other things as well. So I think one thing I've always been grateful for is that I just let it flow to me eventually, because you can think of an idea and just work on it, but if actually, first of all, you don't have the knowledge, first of all, it's going to come across as inauthentic. You may not necessarily do the best in it, but a lot of things piece together, so just trust that it will piece together, and eventually an idea will come before you and you'll realize there's a problem here. It's something that I can address, so don't rush and think that I have to do this. And also, there is also something to be said about working and gaining experience over the years as well. Don't look down on doing retail or working in offices, and over time you will have to gain experience at some point. Otherwise, again, it's inauthentic, and what good is it doing something where you've not really gained the expertise and knowledge at some point as well?
Perfect. And what would be one of the biggest challenges that you faced in setting up your clinic?
Oh my God, so many. So many, because first of all, I went from working, again, in a corporate background where your role is really clearly defined. I worked in a startup at some point just before I moved into doing this. But working in a corporate background, it's a very rigid job. So your role is defined. You don't do anything, generally you don't do anything beyond what your job description is, because there are so many people. Whereas in your own business, you're literally doing everything. The cleaning, the accounting, at least I have a partner as well, so we can do things together. But I didn't even know legal, like half of the legal things that we had to do. Like I remember, I think a week before we opened the clinic, I received a letter from Camden Council telling me that they're taking me to court because I threw the rubbish out of the shop in the wrong way. So there are things that you just have to learn along the way. In the end, I fought the case, I fought it, and they didn't find me or take me to court in the end. But you just have to realize that you are going to come through a random bunch of hurdles. Like randomly, we'll deal with graffiti on the shop sign. You have to learn how to get that sorted out quickly. You have to make sure that you develop relationships in your local community. Like the most random, minute things that you never would have conceived in your head before, you have to deal with that. Like every single day, there's always something that we have to deal with.
And it's all a learning journey.
It is, because honestly, half of what I have now, I would never have even predicted would come my way when we first opened the shop.
And just lastly, I know that you've bought some products for people to be able to make their own face masks.
Yeah, so another aspect of the business that I do is I host events. So I do a lot of workshops and events. So we facilitate workshops and events. We work with clients like John Lewis, Accenture, property developers, private members clubs, and we do events on essentially enhancing your well-being and your skin and beauty. So we do things like learning how to blend your own herbal teas, your own face masks, oils, so really hands-on, but we also do a lot of educational events as well. So whether it's a corporate client or people who come to our clinic and take part. So this is one such event that we do. You can make your own face masks. You can blend the different clays and powders that we have here, and it's almost like just a snapshot of the experience that you get when you work with us at our events.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Hafsa.
Thank you.
And next on the panel, we have Hamda. And Hamda is a mother's fitness and wellness advocate. Hi Hamda, thank you so much for coming today, and we know you've come from a long way, so appreciate you being here today. Hamda, can you tell us a little bit, because I know your background isn't just what you're doing now, and you've done tons of things before reaching here. So tell us about your journey in terms of advocating for mothers' health and well-being. How did you get to that point?
Yeah. Hi everyone, I hope you can hear me all. So my name is Hamda Bulbum. Actually, I'm from Hargeisa, and my journey started when I moved to the US when I was about 14 years old, and I've started my fitness journey to college. So American universities or colleges are quite intense, especially if you're away from home, you get homesickness, and I noticed one way that I was able to deal with my homesickness and the sort of depression that I was going through at the time was through fitness. So I stumbled across the gym in the campus, and that's when I started working out. And I found out that not only do I physically feel good, but also I do physically feel the mental aspect of it. And that's when I've started my fitness and health advocating for not only working out for the sake of feeling physically good, but also working out for the sake of mentally feeling good as well. And once I finished my university in the US, I've studied neuroscience, so I had a lot of behavioral research background. I did a bunch of work in the US, but then I've also moved back to Africa and did loads of public health in places like Congo, Rwanda, Uganda, and then I moved back to Hargeisa, where I've done 2 years of women's education and teaching women's health about female menstrual cycle, teaching girls about their periods and how to deal with the different types of hormones you go through when you're a teenager, and it's the kind of topics where people don't talk about back home. It's kind of seen as the shame culture, the rape culture, that it's just things that kind of brushed down the carpet. So when I finished the 2 years, my giving back, I call them my giving back years back to the community, I got a scholarship to come study here in the UK, and I've done public health, masters in public health, and now I do public health research as my 9 to 5. But last year I've also started a mom run club, so it's a running club that's mainly for moms, so you don't have that barrier where it comes to you don't have to go to the gym because you don't have someone to leave your baby with, or you don't have someone who can look after the family, but you can actually take your pram and go to the park and walk, not only walk, but also you can do a run if you want. We also give out some sessions where you can we bring equipment so people can work out in the park. And then we have a social aspect of it. Actually, tomorrow I have to rush back from here because we have a social event in the afternoon where moms come together and socialize. Sadly, a lot of times these events attract non-Somalis. I hope we have more Somalis and people from different backgrounds to show up these kind of events that we don't always attract Caucasian females. They're more active when it comes to fitness and wellness and all of that. And I've also do a bit of social media, so I advocate for moms wellness and how to deal with postpartum depression, and especially within our community, the Somali community, people don't know much about how much women's hormones and change when she goes through pregnancy, breastfeeding, and also postpartum. So advocating that fitness and wellness goes beyond the physical aspect of it. I think when I was in my early 20s, I used to think, oh, working out is to physically have muscles to look good, but now it's actually more of how to actually how do you mentally stay well, you're actually the mental health aspect of it. And when it comes to fitness and wellness, people always think it's only for the young people, but my mom is in her late 50s now, and she had both of her knees replaced last year. And before that, she always used to say, I don't want to work out, leave me alone. But now that she's pain-free for the first time, she was telling me today that she walked 5 kilometers in Hargeisa. And that is, that's the kind of things that make me happy, that through fitness and through wellness, we can bring the community together in a way that maybe older generation can also see fitness, that it's a way to anti-age. If you want to be a 70-year-old who sits well, who doesn't need help to getting up from the bed, you need to start doing work now, going for walks, doing little chores around the house that will make your muscles activated and your joints. So that is a bit of my background.
Lovely. And I know we've got a presentation, so if we can get the presentation queued up, and I will ask you one last question after you talk about your presentation.
Yeah. Well, it's actually not a proper presentation, but what I want to show is the next slide. So this is kind of a female who is a 29-year-old. So I'll actually stand up, it might be better. So that's a scan that for a 29-year-old in our gym. When she did that scan, she was 79 kilos, almost 80 kilos. And they looked at her metabolic age, which is actually the actual age that your body feels in that year. So even though you could be 29 like her, your body feels as someone who's 43 years old because she has the physical rating of 2 because she can't take the stairs, she can't walk around more than like a kilometer or like a mile. But then a year later, she lost quite a lot of weight. Those numbers are below, but yeah, she's on a 60 kilos now, and she feels as an 18-year-old person. So that is like when I say through fitness and health, you can actually age backwards. And it doesn't matter if you start today or if you start tomorrow, but if you like just do something in small portions every day, you can actually age backwards. That's why you see a lot of people who are in their 40s, 50s, who work out constantly, look much younger and feel much younger because of the exercises they do. While someone who actually never done anything, who's in his 50s or in her 50s, might not be able to take a flight of stairs up.
So one of the questions that I want to ask you is, what do you think, in your experience, is the biggest barrier for our community in understanding the benefit of exercise and mental health and reversing age? What do you think is the barrier?
I think actually the biggest barrier is culture, is something that we haven't, number one, there's not much education going on, so not a lot of people know the resources that are available. Also, they don't know actually the benefits of, like, nobody actually gave us education on these things. A lot of us come across these fields through experience, to just stumbling about. Until you face something, you actually don't know much about it. The same way as me, like, I thought I was too educated to go through postpartum depression until it actually happened. And I was like, oh, there's no certain amount of skills that can help you go through postpartum depression until it happens. Like, until your hormones go up and down, you won't know. Same thing as menopause. Like, you have to actually live through the experience to know. So I think our culture, I wish we were like, people were closer in terms of like the age gaps from a younger generation to older generation. If we have these conversations, if we open up and say, I'm a woman in her 50s or a man in his 50s and I'm going through these kind of symptoms, like what is happening, like how are the younger people dealing with it or how are the older people dealing with it. So like opening up the conversations and having these kind of discussions as well. I have a lot of uncles and brothers, so I'm constantly telling them, if you don't work out today, like, don't come complain to me tomorrow about your pre-diabetic. Yeah. Like, these kind of conversations that we need to start having, or like, stop drinking chai every afternoon if you need to have a healthier life when you're 70 or 80. Yeah, so I think it's just our culture that's the biggest problem when it comes to these things. We just need to start talking to each other.
And one of the things that I discovered years ago, I think about 15 years ago when I was working, is that if you drink tea, and this is working with a dietitian, half an hour before your meal, it strips all the iron from that meal, and half an hour after your meal. And then I thought, wow, all Somalis are iron deficient, like, because all we're doing is drinking tea before and after, and with meals sometimes.
Yeah, I can share a research, a study that was published recently, because I work in public health, that's why I remember this. Tea, black tea actually strips down, it stops the protein that helps you synthesize iron. So actually you can't be able to absorb iron if you're drinking black tea every single day. Yeah. And that's why a lot of Somali girls and people are actually anemic. Yeah. And unless we like kind of minimize our drinking tea.
And educate ourselves.
Yeah, like,
absolutely.
More people know about it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to move on to our next panel member, which is Hinda. Thank you, Hinda, for coming. Yeah. And Hinda is from Hinda's Spa and Beauty Salon. Yeah?
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
And I have the same question to ask you, Hinda, which is...
Is this working?
Yeah. How did you get to opening up your own fabulous spa and beauty centre?
Oh,
what was that? How was that journey for you? How did you get there?
Oh, I started my journey 22 years ago. I started 22 years ago. I was sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, just speak into it. See if it works.
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh,
perfect.
Yeah. Okay. I started my journey 22 years ago. I was a hairdresser when I first joined. First joined the industry, I was a hairdresser, and while I was in the industry, I've decided to do other courses.
Right.
I become a beautician, and I also learned how to make natural skincare products, which is what I do now. I have another company which is separate to Hindus Hair and Beauty Spa. It's called Hindus Healthy Hair and Skin Products. I've decided to educate myself and learn about the skincare products and make skincare products. I've started making the products 11 years ago, and I've started selling it to my clients. When I first started, it was my client. It was just giving samples to my clients before I actually start selling the products, and I got a lot of good feedback from the clients, and I was really confident about
it's working.
The feedback that I was getting from the clients. Then I decided to sell the products to others as well as my clients, and and that's how I started. So now my product has reached many different countries, and and I make hair products, face products, and body products. I make lots of different products.
And I know you've also got a presentation to share with us, but before we line that up, could you tell us what is the best-selling product at the moment that you've got?
We've got hair oil,
right,
and face serum, which is a stem cell regenerator. It's anti-aging serum that is really good for the skin, for those who have problems with the wrinkles or pigmentations and many other different skin problems.
And how long before I see results?
Sorry?
How long before I see results on my face?
The face serums, quick results, to be honest. We get feedback after 4 days, clients saying that they could not believe that, how good the product is. Then they've tried many other products, but once they actually, tried our product, we get loads of good feedback from clients.
And on a practical level, how do you actually start making your own products, Hinda? I mean, is this something you start in your centre, or how do you actually start? Do you go to a factory? Have you got a place to do it?
I actually, like I said, I learned to make natural skincare, which means I had to go and learn how to make products at the beginning, and I started making it at home. Even though I had a shop at the time when I learned, but I used to make it at home, and I first started making the hair oil. And I started giving samples to my clients as well as my family and friends. And after that, I got a lot of good feedback from the clients. And I start, that was the most sellable at the time. And then I decided to make more products, which is the shampoo, and then I made the shampoo, the face serum. And now I make a lot of, so I can make lots of different products, but I focus on what clients need and what my customers need the most.
Right.
So at the moment, what sells the most is what I focus on.
Yeah. And are your products in the shop, or do we come to your centre? Is it in like regular hair shops?
My product goes, at the moment, my product is all over the world. So I've got product in London, I've got in my shop, I've got other people who sell my products. It's in, Africa, Asia, America, all over the world. Almost
Fantastic.
everywhere in the world.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And we've got a presentation, so we'll get that lined up, and if you can talk us a little bit about what we're seeing, that'll be great. You can have this one, Hinda.
No, just a very nice shot. Yeah. Okay. Hi, my name is Hinda. Hi, my name is Hinda. I am the founder of Hindus Hair and Hindus Hair and Beauty Spa, as well as Hindus Hair and Beauty, Hindus Healthy Hair and Skin Products. As you can see, I've been in the industry over 22 years. My journey began in 2002, where my shop was actually the first Somalian hair salon that was open in Hilinambaro. And at the time when I opened the hair salon, I was 20 years old. So I was young, but still I had, dreams to follow, and, I wanted to make my dream come true. So I have started, and then while I was in the industry, like I've just said earlier, I decided to learn more about the beauty, other things like beauty, product making, and then I started making my own product. First, I became a beautician. So I was a hairdresser and beautician, and then I decided to learn about the products, and I've started that journey about 11 years ago. And I've also done a business degree, which helped me, even though I've been in the industry for a very long time. So that was my journey, and and the product is for all hair textures as well as the different skin types. And everyone buys my products now. Somalians, Asian, all types of hair and skin products. Yeah, and I have different clients from different backgrounds, and I'm very happy with the result at the moment.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And then we have got Samsam she's the founder of Lux Vitamin and Wellness. Hi, Samsam.
Hiya.
Thank you for coming.
No, you're welcome.
And I know we talk a lot about what we do on the outside,
Yeah.
but none of it is actually going to do anything unless we correct what's happening inside.
Exactly.
So tell us a little bit about how you've got to making your own vitamins.
All right, okay. I wish, hello everyone. You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, my journey, I wish I could say that I worked in the industry or it was something that I was passionate about or so on. My journey started in 2014. It started with it's a life experience, what created Lux Vita. I came to the UK at the age of 14, 15, did my education here at Middlesex University. I'm a nurse practitioner now. I did at Middlesex University. So I was working as a normal hospital ward area that I specialized in is respiratory, very busy ward. So of course the diet wasn't the right place. Sometimes we will get breaks, sometimes we won't get the breaks, so very busy life. So what happened in 2014 is I became very unwell, my stomach. So I was diagnosed with stomach cancer here in the UK, Luton Hospital. So what happened is, of course, I went through a lot of tests, a lot of assessments to find out exactly what's happening and so on. They wouldn't tell me the stage, but I have started the chemo. So just for a second opinion, I went to Germany, and actually my mother pushed me to Germany. I studied in the UK, I believed in the medicine in the UK, I believed in the policy. This is all I knew, and this is what I was taught. Just to please my mom, I went to Germany for a second opinion, and at that time, I think I had the surgery 3 days later. Well, my wounds were still still in plaster, still unhealed. I went to Germany, and once I got there, I went to a private hospital, of course, and they did a few blood tests, very basic tests, to be honest. And the first thing they told me was, no, actually, the next day I came back and for my results after I had the colonoscopy and the blood tests and so on. Came back, and at that time when I went to Germany, I didn't tell them exactly why I was there. I just gave them the symptoms that I was having. And once I got there, they were like, oh, your vitamins are very low. We don't know how you're functioning. This is low and that's low. And I was like, I have a cancer. I don't care about the vitamins you're telling me. I've been diagnosed with a cancer, and that's the word that I've been waiting for. And they were like, no, yes, you have a bit of a cyst here and there, but it's not a cancerous, it's this and that. And I had my first vitamin in 2014 in Germany, Munich. And I came back very confused, very stressed, of course, to the NHS with my results. And I remember I landed on Monday, and then the second day I called, of course, I was under a gastro team, and I called them and I was like, you know what, I came back from Germany and I have these results, and apparently I've been told I have no cancer, and you guys are telling me I have cancer, and I already started the chemo, I had a radiation, what is going on? And at that time when I had the surgery, they took a biopsy on one of the tumors. And what happened was, so they were like, we'll get back to you. We'll have an MD, meeting, and then we'll get back to you. It took them 2 days. They get back to me, and they said, sorry, we misdiagnosed you. Yeah. But I believe things happens for a really good reasons. I was happy I was misdiagnosed, but at the same time I had my mother who was very unwell. She had an arthritis, rheumatoid. She had the arthritis like literally everywhere, on her shoulders, on her neck, the spine. She could hardly sit, she could hardly stand. She was on a wheelchair. And once I had the vitamin, I felt really better. So I contacted the same doctor. And I was like, I got the results from the NHS. Actually, before I left, I jumped. What I told him was I was given a 1 year to live by the NHS. And he was like, no, everything's going to be okay. So I called him back and I said, I feel better, but I have my mom who's suffering with all this rheumatoid arthritis, and we took her to Italy, we took her here and there, we took her to so many private hospitals in the UK and outside the UK. And what he did was just created little vitamins for me. I have to fly all the way to Munich to collect it myself because they couldn't ship it at that time. And I used to bring it. So I saw the change in my mom, actually in her sleep. I noticed that the pain is not there all the time. She can hold her own cup. She was doing like a little bit, before she could hardly even put her scarf on, like if the scarf falls down. So little things were changing. So I kept going back and giving, and then we changed her diet, and then, and alhamdulillah, making a long story short, my mother can run faster than any of you guys now. Wow. Yeah. So once that happened and she's healed, of course, other aunties started, like, oh, I have the same problem as your mom. Can you help me? And I keep going back for one auntie after another auntie. And then, and then what happened is I sat down with him and I said, you know what, I can't just keep traveling and I have all these people. Please, can you help? And then he said, yes. But at that time, although I had my degree in nursing, I was not an advanced practitioner, which in the UK we call it a prescriber nurse. So he's like, yes, but you can't prescribe. And I said, yes, that's right, I cannot prescribe. So he was like, I'll sign this time for you, use my signature, but however, you need to go back and get your prescribing course. And I said, okay, fair enough. Came back, I did that. I helped whoever aunties that I could help at that time. And then what happens, of course, I did my course, and during COVID, I used to travel to people's home after my work. I worked for the NHS 111. So I would travel, help this auntie, help that auntie, and then I can just see the whole community or whoever I have seen had similar problem, not only for the arthritis, the gas problem, that problem. It was very, very similar. So what happens, the numbers start adding up. So it was so hard for my small little car to get to everyone. So I opened this small little clinic in Hayes, and that was in end of 2018, no, 19 actually, 2019. And I start seeing people there, and then of course numbers add up, the demand went more, and then we moved to a little bit more bigger place, which is in Ely now. And the reason why, every day when you start something, how do I say it, it always leads you to a second thing. At the beginning I was just happy I gave you a vitamin, you slept and you were great. But the second question that came was like, okay, fine, he felt great now, what happens later on? How could they deal with it? Where's the problem coming from? And so on. So what happens is, of course, my small little units couldn't really do that much. So what we did, we rented a bigger place. And what Loxvita does now, Loxvita is in Hargeisa, Boroma, we have it in Norway now, and in London. Yeah, so what we do, or what Loxvita stands for, is basically not telling the community to stop their medication, but also helping them just to understand how your body works, how to prevent diseases, how to look after yourself before you become unwell. Don't wait till you're sick to look for something, and how to prevent all that from happening. So what we do is we book appointments, we see people, we run a test, and we find out exactly the nutrition, the areas that you are missing. We give you the vitamins that you're missing at that time. We do allergy tests, so we find out the foods and intolerance that's actually there. We deal with kids with eczemas and what causes that eczemas. But the area that I am here today that I have noticed in the last 9 years that Loxvita has been running is whether it's in in UK or Norway or whether it's back home, we have one problem, and that one problem that we compare and notice is our digestive system. When it comes to us as a Somali community, our diet are more high in carbs, so berries, pasta, all the carbs things that we have. The other thing that we have also noticed in the community is lot of liver problems. I think if you meet 5 aunties, I think 3 of them are missing their gallbladder. Why are you missing your gallbladder? What happened to it? So what I am here today, basically, and the area that I really want to put the light on is if our body is designed as in a one-way system, you must eat. And then whatever you eat, your body takes what it needs, or the nutrition or the mineral that it needs, and that rubbish must come out. Most of the community, how can I say, it's very limited people that actually go and clean their large intestine or the guts. And what happens if you eat if you're eating even the good and the greatest food and your stomach acid, or you're not emptying your stomach, or you're not going to the toilet at regular, is your stomach does not absorb. It's not the vitamins you go to Holland and Paris and you pick up million boxes of vitamins and then you take them. It's not about what you take. It's all about what your body can absorb and what can your body recognize as it's something good. And then what happens, that goes to your liver. And it's liver, again, it's another organ that we hardly talk about it as a community. But most of your diseases, whether it comes to diabetes, whether it comes to heart problem, whether it comes to hormonal imbalance, whatever illness, it actually starts with that organ. And if you eat the right foods and your body absorbs it, the liver is the one that delivers all the good things to the right places. And also takes all the toxins out, either as a urine form or as a stool or however, that takes it out. Our major problem that I see with us is that most of us has a gas, and the gas, where does the gas start? It starts because you're not emptying. Your body communicates with itself. And it communicates with us as well. The problem is, how do we recognize when your body's communicating with you? If you're having headaches, your body's telling you, I am missing something. If you're having an arm pain or your hands getting numb, your body's telling you, I am missing minerals. If you're not going to the bowel, like if you eat 3 meals and you haven't been for the whole day and you're going to the next day, maybe 1, again, your body's telling you something is not right. So the question is, how do we recognize? People, especially in the after 2000s, people are concentrating on their skin, on their hair, and so on, which is a beautiful thing. But if your skin is not getting the right minerals, the right nutrition, no matter what you apply, it's not going to work. And it's not that the product that person created is bad. It's just it's in you as a person. You need to detox yourself. You need to look after your cells. Your nutrition needs to get to the right places. For an example, your hair. Your hair is like an organ. So if it's not getting the right oxygen, if it's not getting the right, what they call air, if it's not, oxygen, the right, what they call, like white cells to build it, if it's not getting the right minerals to the right places, if I buy a product and I apply on it, it might look good 1 day or 2 days, and then tomorrow it doesn't work, and then you jump from that product to another product. So basically what Lux Vita is here is just to make that awareness that if you work within yourself inside, everything else from the top will also shine or will also be better. And also if you're a mother and you're lacking maybe an iron or maybe you're lacking any other minerals, remember the day you get pregnant, whatever you don't have, you can give. So that child, again, it's like we feel like we're repeating the same circle all over. So it's just to make that awareness that when you getting married, you get ready from the cake to the dress to the this to that. If you are getting pregnant, it's also good if you prepare yourself that way with the right minerals, the right nutrition. When your child comes, when you give birth, the children needs more minerals and more nutrition than we need because they're growing. So their demand is a lot higher. Every Monday might be every Monday to you, but to them, of course, every day is a new day for them. So it's how to make that awareness and not giving them the same diet as you eat, but actually recognizing how to make that what they call balanced diet for that child. to have a better life. And also, if your child's nutrition is good, they'll be able to concentrate. They'll be able to aim higher. They'll be able to be healthy. I mean, they will be able to reach so many things than a child who's just been pumped with a lot of sugar and a lot of carbs. You want a baris, you want roti, have it, and then go. And then you notice that child is very hyper, very energetic. It's bouncing. Yes, because he's already energetic, and you gave him even more fuel to create more energy. Yes, and it's hard for me to explain organ by every organ. I know the presentation is only 14 to 15 minutes, but it takes time. But our liver, it takes 4 stages before it collapses. The stomach is the same thing. So what we want, or what Lux Vita would like, is basically to make a commitment. Now the awareness is here. You didn't know yesterday, now you know the awareness is here, how to commit and how to take that action, not only for you, but for your family, for your loved one, for your children. What we do is we run a test. We tell you exactly what you need to work on for 6 months. This is the foods that you need. This is the area you need to concentrate on. Even if the person has like a gas, like stomach acids or gas or anything, we do a colon therapy. It depends. Everyone is different. And then the 6 months later, when you come back, we have your old test, and then we just compare it to the new test and said, you have worked on this area. You need to work on this area now. But if we sit and wait till the day we become unwell or sick, then it takes a lot of effort and time, of course, to reverse that illness or that sickness back. And also, not that I'm against medication, but it's good if you try to look after yourself, like before. Now, if you have any problem, like if your finger's hurting, oh, I need the medication to fix it. I have a cough, I need the medication to fix it. We become a community that depends on medication so much that we want everything to be a quick fix and forgot where we came from and where our roots were. If you look at your grandma, you don't have to look far. Your grandparents, no one took medication. Everyone depended on the natural roots. So maybe to go back into that and to prevent things actually before happening as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You made my job very easy because I didn't need to prompt you or ask you a lot of follow-up. But I have got a follow-up question, and it kind of resonates with everything that everybody said on the panel. As Somalis, we're cultural hermits.
Yeah.
So as we're going across each one of you, there are things culturally that is actually hindering our health.
Yes.
How do we stop baris and basto?
You can have your baris and basto, but in a balance. No one is saying you have to be 100%. Even if you work on a good diet, 70% or even 60%, and have whatever carbs or whatever treats that you want is absolutely fine. But the main thing is actually understanding, even if I had so many carbs, and what do I do next? What's expected of me, or how do I get rid of all this sugar and all these carbs that I have taken? How do I fix it? What do I do about it? And that's where Hafsa comes in, and the exercising is very important. If your muscles are weak, of course, then you become, most of our organs are made of, if I take the liver out, from muscle. So if you're not exercising, that means your heart is made of a muscle. That means the heart becomes weak as well, and it's very hard for them to pump. And then if you have so much fat on you, and you have all these organs, and you have all these fats on top of it, it makes a weak heart. It makes it even more harder for the heart to pump, because there's so many layers on top of it. So it's exercising is very important. Looking after your muscles. Sleep is another thing that is very, very important. If you're not sleeping, your body's telling you that something's not right. I need my nutrition, something's not right about my vitamin. It could be your magnesium being low and your muscles are not pumping in the right place. It could be simple as your iron is very low, so there's not enough oxygen in your system, and your body's telling you, your brain is occupied. It's like, if I let it go, something will happen. So you are asleep, but you're not getting that deep quality sleep. And sleep comes in our Quran, it comes in our hadith and everything as well. That sleep plays a really big part, medically, religionally, culturally. Because when you sleep, that's when your body does the most. It prepares itself, it recharges the hormones, and it also gets rid of all the toxins and all the dead cells. But if you're not sleeping, you're opening so many doors. to so many diseases, so many unhealth, like mental health and so on. But if you give yourself that pattern, if you haven't slept, I know we all work in a very busy life, but if you concentrate, if you commit, if you look after your health, I think you will go a long way. Because the other thing that we notice in our Somali community is everyone's work. Oh, I don't want to do this one, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. But then tomorrow, once that person becomes unhealthy or becomes unwell, they want to spend all that money that they have made it to buy health. But you were healthy, you can easily look after it and then create whatever wealth you want. Then they jump from India.
Thank you so much, Zemzem. And I'd like to say thank you to our panel members.